Thank you. Well, next person I have for his first talk to the group is the quickest person ever to go from starting to $300,000 in a year. And Bryson did this largely through upgrading customers. He told me his first year he upgraded somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 people to Ultimates. Every time I work with him, it's he pitches it to every single past customer, and he just has the highest average order with those people, and really um gets the most out of every single person with his upgrades. So here to help us get better at working with our past customers and past customers to come up to the booth. Two-time $300,000 rep, Mr. Bryson Laberge.
Thank you, Aaron. So yeah, I'm super excited to give this talk on upgrades. I would say it's probably my favorite thing to sell. It's super fun. So yeah, you guys might be wondering why listen to me about selling upgrades. So I looked up some stats and just to give myself an idea of how many I sold. Um, in 20, so I looked up the stats of how many individual ultimate blocks, so it could kind of give me an idea. In 2023, it was 32 ultimate blocks, and in 2024, 31 ultimate blocks. So probably like around 60 traditional upgrades over the last couple of years. But a lot of the upgrades that I sell don't come with a block. So I know I've sold a lot more upgrades than that. Sometimes I end up swapping in like a skillet or a couple pans, or I swap in like 8 table knives, or it could be 3 hunting knives. Or maybe it could even be like a 5 piece set for their daughter instead of the block. Um, so now some of you might be like, what? Like an upgrade has to come with 9 knives, a pair of shears, and 4 table knives, and the ultimate block. But I'm just here to open your mind that like an upgrade is really just a way for your clients to just buy whatever they want out of the $15,000 of stuff that we make, and then just frame it as an upgrade. So they get a bundle price on that. I remember back one time I sold this lady like the regular traditional ultimate upgrade sheet I was showing her, the one for like 2,200. And what she actually bought was 3 knives for herself, 2 knives as a Christmas gift for her son, and then the entire accessories bundle. So it really wasn't an upgrade at all. But I knew she could afford 2 grand, so I just made turned it into that and she bought it. Um, but some of you guys might just be like, all right, how do I sell just a regular upgrade? So I'll jump into that. Um, so first, like why even get better at selling upgrades? I'd argue outside of the new customer approach, like and the beatback script, it's the most important script to memorize because when we think about all the interactions we have at the booth, it's like 80% of the people that come up and say hi to us are past customers, and we're all just sitting there waiting for a new customer to come up and so we can sell a set. But really, we should just capitalize on the people that already love our knives. And the other reason is it's definitely way easier to sell past customers more knives than it is to sell them onto cookware or flatware. Plus, the CPO is way better. Um, on the Vast Action sheets for all the upgrades, they're just full price. So this is just a quick story from the Erie County Fair to show you how powerful upgrades are, and then I'll dive into the meat and potatoes of the talk. But I was working at the fair, a guy came up and he asked me, "How much is one table knife?" Well, you get that all the time, right? And I said, "It's $52." And he's like, "What?" He's like appalled by the price. He's like, that's crazy." And I said, "But since we're here at our top selling Erie County Fair, we do have some deals running on those, so they're actually buy three, get one free here to bring the price down. But the best way to get them is actually through our upgrade program. Have you ever heard of it?" And he's like, "No, I haven't." And then from there, I just transitioned into the upgrade pitch, and ended up closing around 1,800 bucks, and the CPO was like 1,500. So to go from a guy that was like not gonna buy a table knife for 52 bucks, ends up dropping $1,800 just because I pitched the upgrade effectively. Um, so it's like think about how many of those opportunities we miss out on just because we don't pitch the upgrade. So here's how you do it. The first step is just to get them sold on to some pieces. You never want to start like your upgrade approach with like, hey, we have an upgrade program. You get new knives in a block. Do you want to see it? Because the answer nine times out of 10 is like no, because most past customers believe that they have everything they need already. So why would they need more stuff? So really our job is just to jar their belief that there is more products that they would use and are different. So here we go. So first I'm just like, hey, are you familiar with Cutco? And they're like, hey, yeah, we have a set. Oh, awesome. How long have you had it? 15 years. And I'm like, nice. Do you still have all your fingers? And they're like, yeah, my son almost sliced their finger off. I'm like, yep, that happens at least once. Um, so over the years, customers actually wrote to our factory and they requested that we made some additional knives to complement the original set. So we did. Is it cool if I show you real quick? And right here, you can choose if you want to qualify them depending on how they react or how busy the show is or if they look money or if they're just like it's an old lady or something. So I just say something like, hey, if you saw some knives that were different from what you have already and you fell in love with them, would you maybe consider adding on to the collection here today? If the answer is no, then don't waste your time. But if the answer is yes, then it's worth the shot of pitching the upgrade. But if they're like a super money couple, I'm not going to qualify them. I'm just going to pitch the upgrade. Um, so from here, you're just going to start showing knives. And it's really important to have your names and uses down even outside of the regular ultimate pieces because a lot of my upgrades that I do are customized. Um, because it's like how many customers do we run into that already have a cheese knife and already have a petite santoku? Um, and also like no matter how hard you sell somebody on a cleaver, there's just some customers that don't want one. Um, so the first knives that I go over are knives that make sense. So what I mean by that is we used to make like the big chef knife, so I'll pull out the French chef knife. So customers recommended that we made a smaller everyday chopper and then, show them the Petite Santoku. And then we used to just make a little small paring knife, show them that one. It's good for stuff in your hand, but customers asked us to make a longer one so you can cut all the way down through stuff. And then next I'll usually show the boning knife. So like a lot of the knives that we had in the original set, they're all serrated. So customers asked us to make more straight edges. Here's a video, and I'll show them the boning knife video of the little small serrated knife that you have in your set cutting through raw chicken. It takes like 15 strokes or so to go through, but with a raw meat knife, it's like one or two. So that's like literally 7 times easier. Knives are kind of like tools. Whenever you use the right tool for the right job, it just makes things a lot easier and safer too. Like you could use a wrench to hammer in a nail, but it'd be a lot easier with a hammer, right? Or hammer, yeah. Okay, I said that right. Okay. And then just a side note, the tool analogy is super important to use because it just logically makes sense, and it's something that you can keep bringing up through the approach to handle objections on why they need more knives. Um, so yeah, sometimes you might run into customers that already have those pieces, but you can also make other knives make sense. So, for example, like the trimmer wears out on the front part, so we made the Santoku trimmer. Same thing with the Santoku paring knife. Um, the end of the cheese knife is dull for spreading cheese, so we made the one that's sharp all the way through. So the Santoku cheese knife is like more of just a utility knife. So you guys kind of get the point. You just go over like two or three knives that just make sense that we made. Um, After that, I have them cut food. So I'll usually have them compare the trimmer on a potato to a cheese knife on the potato and explain why it works better. Or you could have them use a table knife and then the Santoku cheese knife. And the reason I think it's very, very important to cut food, and our team, I would say, is kind of split on cutting food, but um, I would say again, 90% of customers think that what they have already is good. But if you literally show them like this knife works better and you don't have it, then they're gonna now they believe you that there is other stuff that we make that actually works better. So I think of course you could sell upgrades without cutting food, but I guarantee you'll sell more upgrades um, cutting food than just relying on your words, right? Um, then after that, I show them like a fun knife. So usually that's the salmon knife, and I show them the watermelon video. People love that. And then the next two knives don't matter too much. You can kind of just breeze over them. And then you want to finish off with your favorite knives. Your favorite knives can be whatever you want. Just make sure that you get really excited about them and you're just gonna sell them hard on those two pieces. So I usually go with the Hardy slicer and show them the squash video and the vegetable knife and show them how to chop and scoop with it. So the key when you're going over pieces is just to try to get them sold on at least 6 to 7 knives. Um, if they're not sold on 6 to 7 knives, then they're probably not going to upgrade. So you just want to watch as you're going through, how are they engaging? How are they nodding their head to those pieces? So you might have to go over like 10 pieces before they're sold on 6 to 7. Um, so it's important. I would say it's important to use all your tools in your toolbox when you're selling pieces. So what I mean is I'm big on showing videos, cutting food. Their past customers cut leather with them again. Whatever knife you cut the leather with, they're probably gonna just want that because it was cool. Um, cut the penny again. Just do all the things, and it does take time to do, but I guarantee you'll sell more upgrades than by demoing the product and having fun than just talking about the knives. Um, all right, so. Yeah, again, it's important to have all the knives, so I always keep a board of all the specialty knives down on the floor so I can just grab them when I need them. Um, the bird's beak is one of the easiest knives to put in the upgrade because when you show them how to drag and cut with it and it doesn't go dull. So I usually end up swapping that out for the cleaver. But after you've gone over pieces, then I just say, so yeah, those are some of the newer pieces. What Cutco did is they created an upgrade program for people that want to add on to the collection. You get to handpick our best knives and you get something to store everything in. All the knives plus the old ones, or all your knives plus the new ones fit together in one spot. And it comes as a package price to make it easier to get. Is it cool if I show you how the upgrade works real quick? And a little side note, if the customer originally came up for sharpening, then right here, I always make sure to say like, so a promotion we're running at the show for anyone that upgrades with us today is when your new knives come, you just take your old knives, stick them in the box, and we send you out a prepaid shipping label. So you can send your old knives to the factory, we refurbish them, polish the handles, sharpen everything, and then when they come back, you have like a brand new set of knives. Um, so option one, if they say no, when you say, is it cool if I show you how the upgrade works real quick? Which most people should say yes if they liked the pieces you went over. Then from here, what you say is, hey, yeah, a lot of people don't think they'd use the entire set, and you just like point at the big ultimate, and that so they're just minimizing. If you had to minimize down to just 5 pieces, what would be the ones that you would use the most? Typically, they'll pick a couple, and then from there, you're just gonna help them get to 5. So you just pick up like a raw meat knife and a salmon knife. Like, hey, would you use a raw meat knife more or a salmon knife more? Until you get to 5 pieces, and then you can try to go for the builder. Um, or if the builder's not even close, then just flash the builder and then just go right to the 5 piece. Um, and make it seem like a big deal. They're getting all 5 pieces for just 710. I usually use the sheet that's like the 5 piece complimentary set. And I just sell it for that price. It doesn't matter what knives they picked. Just sell it for that price and figure out how to roll it later. Or you can do a buy four get one if you need whatever price to close. It's better than just selling a couple knives. However, if they do say yes to seeing how the upgrade works, then what I do is I say, um, I showed them the price. There's like a deal sheet that has the three fan sets. They're like 5 to 8 grand, and that's really just for price positioning. So I just say, hey, there's a lot of different upgrades. Just to show you some of the largest sets you can upgrade to. They're like 50 to 65 knives. There's a lot of duplicates in them. Plus, they're like 5 to 8 grand. So I'm just gonna skip over those ones if that's okay with you. And then they're like, yeah, skip those ones. And then I'm like, and I was just kind of flash through the sheets. So there's a $4,000 upgrade, a couple $3,000 upgrades, but hey, I'm just gonna skip to the starter upgrade, the one that we were looking at that we went over. Um, a side note, if they seem like a really money couple, then I will leave out those $4,000 and $3,000 sheets for a little longer and just see how they react at those price points. If they're not phased by that, then right there, there's an opportunity for a large upgrade or some type of bundle deal where you could sell like an upgrade with flatware or with cookware or with accessories. But if I'm not even sure the 2200 is a possibility, then I'll just kind of flash those just to get some big prices out there and then go right to the $2,200 upgrade. So once we're there, it's just like to make this simple and easy, we take the price of the complete set, which is like $4,000 now, and we give you credit for what you already have, the basic set. Now I know you didn't spend $1,900 on your set of knives back then, but we give you credit just to make it easy. So the upgrade comes down to 2,200, and what makes this so appealing is you'd use these pieces every day and probably even more than the ones you already have, and you get to finish what you started and have the complete set. And we let you split it up over 5 months, explain the five, pay to them, and then just saying out of anything that you could get here at the fair or the show, you'd probably use this the most. I mean, because we do eat every day. Um, and then from there, you're trying to close, and I would say, dropping down is an art, not a science. So it goes a little different every time. If you could tell they can afford it, then it's just a matter of handling any objections and maybe sweetening the deal. Um, One objection I'm sure probably everybody has gotten is like the alternate block. They're like, oh, it's just too big. So I'd say most of the time I can sell people onto the block by just saying, so the block it comes with is our complete set block right here. I know it looks big, but it's actually only the size of a sheet of paper. And you hold the deal sheet right up to it and just say, hey, so if you can fit a piece of paper on your counter, it'll fit just fine. Um, this is going to fit all your old knives plus the new ones. You may have a couple empty slots, but you can always get new knives down the road. I highly recommend this block because I've seen so many times where customers upgrade to this block, and I'll point at the homemaker and I'll be like, and there's just 8 slots for knives, 2 forks. So you can only add a couple pieces, and then if you want to add more a couple years later, like you're gonna run out again, and then you're gonna buy another block. So it's better to just get this block now and save the money. Um, so then most of the time that gets past the objection, but if they're still being difficult, you can just remove the block out of the upgrade. You could swap something in of equal value. If they can't decide between blocks or trays, just give them both. Trays cost no bonus points anyways. If they don't like any of those options, just say, well, some customers get a magnet for the wall or they buy drawer dividers on Amazon. You can find a way to store it. The important thing is just to get the right knives to cut the food with. So just make it a non-issue. And then from here, you might have to customize and upgrade to close. Um, Again, when I customize stuff, like I don't change the price. I just leave the deal sheet in front of them, and I'm not gonna go onto my orders app and like put in every piece and like then it's gonna be way too confusing for you and for the customer. So you can just roll it later. Um, and sometimes it works out better for you. Like I've had sometimes where I've sold an upgrade for 1,700 and it was like 1,600 when I went to roll it, and you can just add a couple table knives. The customer will be happy that they got more stuff. They'll be, oh, Bryson gave me a little extra for free. Um, and then, you might have to drop down to like 17, 18, 1900. You can just throw some pieces out. Um, and now I'm going to talk about selling builder upgrades. So if you're not familiar with that, that's just the block, ultimate block, 5 knives and 2 table knives. So dropping down to this, there's a way to make it sound really awesome. So I just say a lot of people think they want to use the entire upgrade. So if you had to minimize down to just five, what would be the most important pieces? And again, I taught you guys how to get them to five. Um, and then you're just like, so Cutco created what they call a builder upgrade. You still get the block to hold everything, and you just pick the most important knives to you. You'll have some empty slots, but Cutco comes out with a new knife every year, so you can always add those later. And the builder upgrades is actually it's a lot better than getting everything all at once because you can actually now you can just kind of build your own custom set. Plus, it's like half the price. So then you put that sheet out. It's very important to have them pick the 5 pieces before you show them the price of the builder upgrade. Um, and the key with selling the builder upgrade is you have to make it look a lot larger than it is because when you show it to them, the customer's mind logically is thinking like, oh, I'm paying 1,200 bucks for 5 knives. So what I do is I lay out the 5 knives they're getting, plus the 2 table knives, or sometimes I upgrade them to steak knives. So now there's 7 things in front of them. And then typically I'm going to be throwing in a couple gadgets or maybe some extra steak knives, and just put everything out on the board and then explain they're getting the block. So that it shifts their mind into like, oh, I'm getting like 10 pieces of Cutco for 1,200 bucks. And so yeah, if they still can't afford that, then you're just gonna drop down to the 5 piece complimentary set. So that's kind of like your Hail Mary. Um, if you don't feel like they're gonna pay the 710, you can do buy four get one. But I've closed so many more 5 pieces that wouldn't have closed just going through that process and getting a quick, 4 or 500 CPO, for people that may have just bought 1 or 2 knives because it looks like a huge deal when you go from 1,200 bucks to like 600 and they're still getting everything they picked pretty much. Um, and the last thing I have here is another way to get a lot more upgrades is if a past customer comes up looking for a specific item, you can just answer their price question by giving them a range of prices and then just move right into the upgrade approach, get them interested in a lot more stuff, and now they're like confused. They're like, I came up for a pair of scissors and now I want this and this and this and this. And then you're like, yeah, so we have an upgrade and you get your scissors with it. So, um, yep, that's everything I have. Is there any questions? And I do have a script that I'll send out as well.
Very cool. Um, what for people that do you for the block objection, are you usually putting other pieces in there? Like so they it's like for $500 worth of stuff. If they're like, I don't want the block, I wouldn't use the block, you're saying, oh cool, then instead what we can do is swap it out for like the full gadget package or like the kitchen tools or something that's going to be around the same price. Is that usually your first?
If I know they can afford it, then yeah. Um, if not, then I drop down. But if they can afford $2,200 and then it's like, oh, okay, you don't want the block, well, you could give them 2 fry pans. That's like 600 bucks.
Mhm.
Um, or like I've sold a lot of upgrades, like especially during the holidays, like taking the block out for a 5 piece set for their daughter or like a Christmas gift.
Cool.
And then they're like, what? You can give me 5 knives instead of the block?
Yeah, it seems more to them. No, I love the idea of just keeping it at those prices and just kind of figuring it out on the back end because I do think like the biggest thing with working with past customers is we like try to like get it exactly right there and we're constantly like on the phone and then it drags on and they're thinking about would I use it instead of it's this. I wouldn't use this. Okay, how about if this is there? And then it's just like it's making it quick and not giving them time to overthink the upgrade. I think that's real smart that you do it that way. That's a
Yeah,
big one.
like somebody told me like don't sweat a $50 price difference when you're making $1,000.
Right. No, no, that makes total sense. Other questions for Bryson?
So I was wondering, because I think I'm saying something wrong, but when I talk about upgrading and I've had it happen where the customer thought that they were getting like a full trade-in on their knives, um, but they weren't. Is there like any verbiage to like uncomplicate the trade in your old knives by sending them to I don't even say trade in, but I say like new, and I think maybe there's some confusion there. And then you get the new knives and we put them in a block. Like sometimes people are like, what do you mean like upgrade? They think they get a whole new set. So how do I eliminate that confusion? Because I'm confused even explaining this.
Yeah, I just say, now when your new knives come in to the mail, we'll send you out a shipping label. You just stick your old Cutco knives in the box, send them to the factory. We'll refurbish them, we'll polish up the handles, sharpen up the knives, make them like brand new again, ship them back to you, and then everything's gonna come together as like now it's like one set. So it's basically a new set. Yeah.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Cool.
Yeah, I
Any
think
other?
you've had that happen like once, right?
Yeah, but I have had people say things like, oh, I get a brand new set. Like, what's an upgrade? They get confused when I say upgrade. And I
Hmm.
think that's a
They're
perfect.
thinking trade-in, Marissa,
I
kind
think
of
that,
like a car, like you're
yeah.
trading in your homemaker for an ultimate instead of completing your ultimate.
Oh, completion is a good word to use then.
Yeah.
You're completing
And I
it.
think if you say we refurbish them, that helps too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Any other questions for Bryson? This guy killed it this weekend in Buffalo.
I have a question. So, what if, I guess more like situational, but like, what if the customer's thinking like, oh, what do I do with my old block? Like, how do you frame that, like giving it away as a gift um, or whatnot? But like, when they have their old block, basically.
Yeah, sometimes I don't even talk about it, but if they ask, then I say, um, yeah, you can just keep it, give it to one of your kids as it, and we can fill them up upset later. Um, or say you can throw it out, or you can just keep it. You might want more knives later. Like, just make it kind of a non. It's not really an issue. Just there's stuff. Give them like three options that they can do with it, and then just move on.
Do you, well, yeah, at the booth, you don't, if you're on a service call, do you take them? Do you take the blocks? I know this is events
Yeah.
involved, but like,
One time I took a Siggy block, and and then I was like on a husband only appointment trying to sell an upgrade, and it was really difficult. And then I just was like, well, I have a block in my car from the last appointment, so I'll just give it to you. And then it took off like, you know, like $500. So yeah.
nice. Yeah, if they're in good shape and you're, it's like a service event where they bring them in or a service call, take those blocks
Yep.
because
It's
they're
waiting.
gold.
Another thought on taking the blocks. Cutco will give them like half off them buying a new block if they trade in an old block. So even if they had a stupid Studio Plus 4 and they called Cutco and sent that in, they'd give them an ultimate block for like 250. And you don't want them to do that after the fact because then that could really F you, you know? But also I've been sending blocks in like randomly and just telling and on the like when I send stuff in from service events and I'll put like, oh, the block was starting to crack in the back or something, whatever, they usually will replace it. So you can come up with a bunch of new blocks by taking the old ones, sending them in. Like obviously if you sent like 20 blocks into Costco, they're gonna be like, what the heck is this? But if you send in 1 or 2 blocks randomly throughout the year, they will usually give them to you brand new. I would put it under someone else's name, but it doesn't hurt.
Nice. Very cool.
But yeah, I think I like that. But yeah, I think like trying to explain to them like, oh, you'll get half off the block, and then like, I think that's just too confusing, you know. Trying to do a block trading program, like Case said, he never tells them. But
Oh no, I wouldn't tell him. I'm just saying that
yeah,
Cutco
yeah,
will do that. Yeah. Hell no,
yeah,
don't tell him. That's the worst
right,
thing.
yeah.
Like father, like son.
Very cool. Any other questions for Bryson? Awesome, man. Well, thank you very much. Our next call will be our first State Fair call on the 21st. Or for those of you that are going to be part of the State Fair team this year, the Erie County Fair team, that one is mandatory. And I do have this one recorded, so I'll be able to share it. Thank you so much, Bryson and Phil, for sharing the goods with you guys. And hope you guys have the good rest of your day. And I'll talk to you all soon.
Thank you guys. See you later.